Hello, beautiful soul. I want you to take a deep breath with me right now. Just breathe in love. Breathe out anything that feels heavy. That's it. You've found your way here today, and that tells me something wonderful about you. It tells me that somewhere deep inside, you know you're ready for something more. You're ready to step into the magnificent being you truly are. I know this moment might feel tender for you. Perhaps you've been running on empty, giving so much of yourself to everyone else that you've forgotten what it feels like to pour that same love and attention into your own heart. Maybe you've been searching for validation, for approval, for someone to tell you that you matter, that you're enough, that you're worthy of love and happiness. And while you've been looking everywhere else, the most important person has been waiting patiently for your attention. That person is you. There's no judgment here, sweet one. We've all walked this path. We've all given our power away, looked for our worth in other people's eyes, and forgotten the incredible light that shines within us. This is simply part of the human experience, part of our journey back to ourselves. And the beautiful truth is that every moment brings us a new opportunity to choose differently, to choose ourselves, to choose love. You might be feeling exhausted right now, tired of trying so hard to be what others want you to be, weary from constantly adjusting yourself to fit into spaces that were never meant for you, drained from seeking approval from people who may not even approve of themselves. This exhaustion is actually a gift, though it might not feel like one. It's your soul's way of saying, it's time to come home to yourself. When we've spent years, maybe decades, looking outside ourselves for validation and love, the idea of turning inward can feel scary. It can feel selfish or wrong. We might worry that if we focus on ourselves, we'll become self-centered or lose the people we care about. But this couldn't be further from the truth. When we learn to love and nurture ourselves, we actually become more capable of loving others authentically, without need or desperation. Think of it like this. When you're on an airplane, they tell you to put your own oxygen mask on first before helping others. This isn't because you're more important than the person sitting next to you. It's because you can't give what you don't have. You can't share air if you're suffocating. You can't offer love if you're empty. You can't be a light for others if your own inner flame has been dimmed by neglect. Your heart knows this truth. That's why you're here. Something inside you is stirring, awakening, calling you back to yourself. This stirring might feel uncomfortable at first, because it's asking you to break patterns that have become familiar, even if they haven't been serving you. It's asking you to step away from the exhausting game of trying to be everything to everyone and instead become everything to yourself first. This journey isn't about becoming selfish or uncaring about others. It's about learning to care for yourself with the same tenderness and devotion you've been giving away so freely. It's about recognizing that you are worthy of your own attention, your own kindness, your own love, not because you've earned it through achievements or good behavior, but simply because you exist. Your existence alone makes you worthy of love, especially your own. The world has taught us many things about love, but it often forgets to teach us the most important lesson of all, how to love ourselves. We learn to love our children, our partners, our friends, our pets, even strangers, but somehow we miss the most crucial relationship of all, the one with ourselves. This relationship is the foundation upon which all other relationships are built. When this foundation is strong and loving, everything else in your life begins to shift and align. You don't need to fix yourself to be worthy of love. You don't need to become perfect or achieve certain goals or reach a particular weight or income level. You are lovable exactly as you are, right here, right now, in this very moment. All those things you think you need to change about yourself, all those flaws you think make you unworthy, they're not flaws at all. They're simply aspects of your humanity, and your humanity is beautiful. Now let's talk about what it really means to focus on yourself, because this phrase gets misunderstood so often in our world. When I speak of focusing on yourself, I'm not talking about becoming narcissistic or self-absorbed. I'm not suggesting you become inconsiderate of others or only think about your own needs. That's not self-love. That's fear dressed up as confidence. True self-focus is one of the most loving things you can do, not just for yourself, but for everyone in your life. When you focus on yourself in a healthy way, you're taking responsibility for your own happiness, your own healing, your own growth. You're no longer expecting others to fill the empty spaces inside you or to complete you in some way. You're becoming whole on your own, and from that wholeness, you can offer genuine love and support to others. There's such a beautiful difference between focusing on yourself from a place of love and focusing on yourself from a place of fear. When fear is driving, self-focus becomes about protecting ourselves from others, building walls, taking what we can get before someone else gets it first. But when love is driving, self-focus becomes about nurturing ourselves so we can shine more brightly in the world. Love-based self-focus looks like honoring your needs without ignoring the needs of others. It looks like setting boundaries not to keep people out, but to create a safe space where authentic connection can happen. It looks like saying no to things that drain your energy so you can say yes to things that fill you up. It looks like treating yourself with the same kindness you would show a dear friend who was struggling. This kind of self-focus actually makes you more available to others, not less. When you're not constantly seeking validation or approval, you can be present with people in a much deeper way. When you're not trying to be who you think they want you to be, you can show up as who you really are. And who you really are is so much more interesting and lovable than any mask you could ever wear. The world needs you to focus on yourself this way. It needs you to become so comfortable in your own skin that you give others permission to do the same. It needs you to stop apologizing for taking up space and instead claim your space with grace and confidence. It needs you to stop dimming your light to make others feel comfortable and instead shine so brightly that you illuminate the path for others to find their own light. When you focus on yourself with love, you break generational patterns of self-neglect and people-pleasing. You show the people in your life, especially the young ones who are watching, what it looks like to have a healthy relationship with yourself. You become a living example of what's possible when someone chooses to honor and cherish themselves. This doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't happen without some discomfort. You might feel guilty at first when you start prioritizing your own needs. You might worry that people will think you've changed or that they won't like this new version of you. Some people might not like it, and that's okay. The people who truly love you will celebrate your growth, even if it takes them time to adjust to the new dynamic. The beautiful truth is that when you stop trying to please everyone, you attract people who genuinely appreciate you for who you are. When you stop seeking approval, you find that you need it less and less. When you stop giving your power away, you discover just how powerful you really are. This power isn't power over others. It's power over your own life, your own choices, your own happiness. Self-focus is also about becoming your own best friend. It's about learning to enjoy your own company, to trust your own instincts, to rely on your own inner wisdom. It's about developing a relationship with yourself that's so loving and supportive that external validation becomes a nice bonus rather than a desperate need. When you become your own best friend, you start to see yourself through loving eyes. You begin to appreciate your unique qualities instead of comparing yourself to others. You start to forgive your mistakes instead of punishing yourself for them. You begin to celebrate your victories instead of minimizing them. You learn to speak to yourself with kindness instead of criticism. For so many years, perhaps most of your life, you've been looking outside yourself for proof that you matter. You've been seeking validation from parents, partners, friends, bosses, even strangers on social media. You've been waiting for someone else to tell you that you're good enough, smart enough, beautiful enough, worthy enough. And in this endless seeking, you've given away the most precious gift you possess, your own approval. This pattern of external validation seeking often begins early in life. As children, we naturally look to our caregivers for love, approval, and safety. This is healthy and necessary for our survival and development. But sometimes the message we receive is that love and approval are conditional, that we must earn them through our behavior, our achievements, our compliance. We learn that when we're good, we receive attention and affection, and when we're bad, love is withdrawn. These early experiences shape our understanding of worthiness. We begin to believe that our value as human beings depends on what others think of us. We learn to scan other people's faces for approval, to adjust our behavior based on their reactions, to suppress parts of ourselves that might not be well received. We become experts at reading the room and adapting accordingly, but in the process, we lose touch with our own inner compass. As we grow older, this pattern continues and often intensifies. We seek approval from teachers, friends, romantic partners, employers. We make decisions based on what we think others want us to do, rather than what feels right for us. We choose careers that look impressive to others, rather than work that feeds our souls. We stay in relationships that don't truly nourish us because we're afraid of being alone or of disappointing others. The exhausting thing about seeking external validation is that it's never enough. Even when we receive the approval we're seeking, it doesn't last. We need more and more confirmation that we're okay, that we're lovable, that we matter. It's like trying to fill a bucket with a hole in the bottom. No matter how much we pour in, it never stays full. This seeking also puts us at the mercy of other people's opinions, moods, and limitations. When we depend on others for our sense of self-worth, we give them tremendous power over our emotional well-being. We might feel wonderful when they praise us and devastated when they criticize us. We become emotional chameleons, shifting and changing based on who we're with and what we think they want from us. The tragedy of external validation seeking is that while we're desperately trying to get others to see our worth, we're not seeing it ourselves. We're so focused on their approval that we forget to approve of ourselves. We're so busy trying to be what they want that we lose touch with what we want. We're so concerned with their love that we forget to love ourselves. Breaking free from this pattern requires tremendous courage because it means giving up something that has felt like survival. It means learning to trust your own opinion of yourself more than anyone else's opinion of you. It means becoming willing to disappoint others in order to honor yourself. It means risking rejection and criticism in order to live authentically. But here's what happens when you begin to break free. You discover that your own approval is actually more satisfying and lasting than anyone else's approval could ever be. You find that when you stop seeking validation from others, you become less needy and more attractive to healthy people. You realize that the people who truly love you want you to be authentic, not perfect. The process of breaking free often involves becoming aware of just how much you've been giving your power away. You might start to notice how often you check your phone for likes and comments, how much you worry about what others think of your choices, how quickly you apologize for things that don't require an apology. This awareness can be uncomfortable at first, but it's the first step toward freedom. You might also notice the physical sensations that come with people-pleasing and approval-seeking. There's often a tightness in the chest, a knot in the stomach, a sense of walking on eggshells. Your body has been trying to tell you for years that this way of living isn't healthy, but perhaps you've been too busy trying to please others to listen. As you begin to reclaim your power, you'll start to feel different in your body. There's a relaxation that comes with authenticity, a sense of coming home to yourself. You might notice that you breathe more deeply, stand a little taller, feel more grounded and present. Your body celebrates when you choose yourself because it knows this is what health looks like. The relationship you have with yourself is like a mirror that reflects into every area of your life. When you look in this mirror with love and acceptance, the world begins to reflect that same energy back to you. When you speak to yourself with kindness, you attract kinder people into your life. When you treat yourself with respect, others naturally begin to treat you with respect too. This isn't magic, though it can feel magical. It's simply the way energy works in our beautiful universe. Your inner dialogue, those conversations you have with yourself throughout the day, creates the foundation for how you show up in the world. If you're constantly criticizing yourself, telling yourself you're not good enough, or focusing on your perceived flaws, this energy radiates outward. People can feel it, even if they can't name it. They sense your discomfort with yourself, and it makes them uncomfortable too. But when you learn to speak to yourself with love, when you become your own champion instead of your own critic, something beautiful happens. You begin to carry yourself differently. There's a confidence that comes not from thinking you're perfect, but from accepting yourself as perfectly imperfect. There's a peace that comes from knowing you're on your own side. This inner harmony creates an outer glow that draws people to you. Your body is constantly listening to your thoughts and responding accordingly. When you think loving thoughts about yourself, your body relaxes, your breathing deepens, your posture improves, your face softens. You literally become more beautiful when you love yourself, because love is the most beautifying force in the universe. Conversely, when you're harsh with yourself, your body tenses. You might hunch your shoulders, clench your jaw, or hold your breath without realizing it. Every cell in your body is affected by how you feel about yourself. When you're filled with self-love and acceptance, your immune system grows stronger. Your digestion improves, you sleep better, you have more energy. Your body thrives when it feels loved and appreciated. But when you're constantly at war with yourself, your body bears the burden of that conflict. Stress hormones flood your system, inflammation increases. Your body struggles to maintain health while fighting the battle of self-rejection. This mind-body connection extends to how others perceive and treat you. When you're comfortable in your own skin, others feel comfortable around you. When you accept your flaws and quirks with humor and grace, others find those same qualities endearing rather than annoying. When you stop apologizing for taking up space, others stop expecting you to shrink. Your self-worth also determines what you're willing to accept from others. When you know your value, you don't settle for relationships or situations that diminish you. You don't stay in jobs that drain your soul just because you don't think you deserve better. You don't tolerate disrespectful treatment because you've learned to respect yourself. Your standards for how you allow others to treat you rise to match how well you treat yourself. The mirror of self-worth reflects in your choices too. When you love yourself, you make choices that honor your well-being. You eat foods that nourish your body rather than punish it. You engage in activities that bring you joy rather than just obligations. You surround yourself with people who celebrate you rather than tolerate you. You create a life that reflects your worth rather than your wounds. Sometimes this mirror shows us things we don't want to see. If you're attracting people who don't treat you well, the mirror might be reflecting some lack of self-love that needs attention. If you're constantly in situations that feel draining or unfulfilling, it might be time to examine what beliefs about yourself are creating these patterns. This isn't about blaming yourself for difficult circumstances, but rather empowering yourself to change what you can change. The beautiful thing about this mirror is that you can change what it reflects at any time. Every moment offers you a new opportunity to think a loving thought about yourself, to speak to yourself with kindness, to make a choice that honors your worth. As you consistently choose love over criticism, acceptance over rejection, the mirror begins to reflect this new energy in all areas of your life. Your relationships improve because you're no longer looking to others to complete you or validate you. Your work becomes more fulfilling because you're no longer desperate for approval from your boss or colleagues. Your health improves because you're treating your body as the sacred temple it is. Your finances often improve too because you begin to believe you're worthy of abundance and you make choices that reflect this belief. This transformation doesn't happen overnight, and it's not always smooth. There will be days when the old patterns of self-criticism resurface. There will be moments when you catch yourself seeking validation again or settling for less than you deserve. This is all part of the process. Each time you notice these patterns and gently redirect yourself towards self-love, you're strengthening the new neural pathways in your brain. Now let's talk about practical ways to begin reclaiming your energy and turning your attention inward. This journey of self-focus requires daily practice, gentle consistency, and a willingness to start small. You don't need to completely transform your life overnight. In fact, trying to change everything at once often leads to overwhelm and giving up. Instead, you can begin with small, manageable steps that gradually build into a beautiful new way of being. One of the most powerful practices you can begin today is morning check-ins with yourself. Before you reach for your phone, before you start thinking about your to-do list, before you begin giving your energy to the outside world, take just 5 minutes to connect with yourself. Place your hand on your heart and ask, "How am I feeling this morning? What do I need today?" Listen to the answer without judgment. This simple practice begins to train your mind to consider your inner world as important as your outer responsibilities. Creating a sacred space in your home, even if it's just a corner of a room or a small table, can serve as a visual reminder to turn inward. This doesn't need to be elaborate or expensive. It might include a candle, a plant, a journal, or simply a comfortable cushion. Having a physical space designated for your inner work makes it feel more real and important. It's a way of telling yourself that your spiritual and emotional well-being matter enough to claim space for them. Boundary setting is perhaps one of the most loving things you can do for yourself, though it often feels uncomfortable at first. Boundaries aren't walls built to keep people out. They're loving limits that create safe space for authentic connection. Start small with boundaries. Maybe it's not immediately responding to every text message or email. Maybe it's saying no to one social obligation that you don't truly want to attend. Maybe it's asking for space when you're feeling overwhelmed instead of pushing through. Learning to pause before responding to requests is a powerful boundary practice. When someone asks something of you, instead of immediately saying yes, try saying, "Let me check my schedule and get back to you." This pause gives you time to connect with your true feelings about the request instead of automatically responding from a place of people-pleasing. Breathing practices can instantly help you reclaim your energy when you notice it's been scattered or given away. When you feel overwhelmed or pulled in too many directions, stop and take 5 deep breaths. With each inhale, draw your energy back to yourself. With each exhale, release any tension or anxiety. This simple practice helps you remember that you have the power to gather your energy and redirect it as you choose. Journaling is another beautiful way to turn your attention inward and process your experiences. You don't need to write pages and pages. Even just a few sentences about how you're feeling or what you're grateful for can help you connect with your inner world. Try asking yourself questions like, what brought me joy today? What challenged me today, and how did I handle it? What do I need more of in my life right now? Body awareness practices help you reclaim your energy from the mental chatter that often dominates our days. Several times throughout the day, pause and scan your body from head to toe. Notice where you're holding tension. Breathe into those areas and consciously relax them. This practice helps you stay connected to your physical self and catch stress before it builds up. Creating rituals around transitions can help you reclaim your energy as you move through your day. When you come home from work, take a few minutes to consciously transition from work mode to home mode. Maybe you change your clothes, wash your hands mindfully, or take a short walk. These rituals signal to your nervous system that you're shifting your energy and attention. Learning to say, I don't know, when you genuinely don't know something is a way of honoring your authentic experience instead of trying to appear perfect or knowledgeable. It's also perfectly okay to say, I need to think about that, when someone asks for your opinion on something. These simple phrases help you stay connected to your truth instead of automatically giving the response you think others want to hear. Practice asking yourself, what would love do? When you're faced with decisions, especially decisions about how to treat yourself, would love push you to work when you're exhausted? Or would love encourage you to rest? Would love criticize you for making a mistake? Or would love offer comfort and encouragement? This question helps you align your choices with the loving energy you're cultivating. Starting and ending your day with gratitude helps you focus on what's going well in your life instead of what's missing or wrong. This doesn't mean ignoring problems or challenges, but rather training your mind to notice the good alongside the difficult. Gratitude naturally turns your attention inward to your own experiences and feelings rather than constantly comparing your life to others. Think of your inner world as a garden that you've been given to tend. This garden is uniquely yours. No one else can care for it the way you can. For too long, you may have been so busy tending to other people's gardens that your own has become overgrown with weeds of self-doubt, criticism, and neglect. But the beautiful thing about gardens is that they're incredibly resilient. No matter how long they've been neglected, with proper care and attention, they can flourish again. Like any garden, your inner world needs certain conditions to thrive. It needs the sunshine of your attention, the water of your kindness, and the rich soil of your acceptance. It needs you to plant seeds of positive thoughts and pull the weeds of harsh self-criticism. It needs you to create space for new growth while honoring what's already blooming within you. The first step in tending your inner garden is becoming aware of what's currently growing there. What thoughts do you think most often about yourself? What emotions do you feel regularly? What beliefs do you hold about your worth and capabilities? This isn't about judging what you find. It's simply about taking inventory. A gardener needs to know what's in the garden before deciding what to plant, what to nurture, and what to gently remove. You might discover that your inner garden has been overrun with weeds of comparison, where you constantly measure yourself against others and find yourself lacking. These weeds choke out the beautiful flowers of your unique gifts and talents. Gently, lovingly, you can begin to pull these weeds by catching yourself in moments of comparison and redirecting your attention to your own growth and progress. Perhaps you'll find patches of thorny bushes, harsh inner critics that have been allowed to grow wild. These thorns of self-judgment have been protecting you in some way, but they've also been keeping others at a distance and preventing you from fully blooming. You can slowly, carefully trim these bushes back, not eliminating your discernment, but removing the harshness that serves no loving purpose. In some corners of your garden, you might find areas that have been completely neglected, parts of yourself that you've ignored or pushed aside. Maybe it's your creativity that's been dormant, or your sense of playfulness that's been buried under responsibilities. These areas just need gentle attention and care to spring back to life. They're not gone, just waiting for you to remember they exist. As you begin to clear and prepare your inner garden, you can start planting new seeds. Plant seeds of self-compassion by speaking to yourself as kindly as you would to a beloved friend. Plant seeds of gratitude by noticing and appreciating the good in your life, including the good in yourself. Plant seeds of possibility by allowing yourself to dream and hope again. Water these new plantings daily with your attention and care. Just as a garden needs consistent watering, your inner transformation needs consistent nurturing. Some days the watering might be a gentle meditation. Other days it might be setting a loving boundary or choosing to rest when you're tired. The key is regularity and gentleness. Your inner garden also needs protection from harsh elements. Learn to shield it from the storms of other people's negativity and criticism. You can listen to feedback without allowing it to destroy what you're growing within yourself. You can care about others' feelings without sacrificing your own well-being. Creating this protection isn't about building walls. It's about creating a greenhouse where your tender new growth can flourish safely. Feed your inner garden with experiences that nourish your soul. This might be time in nature, beautiful music, inspiring books, meaningful conversations, or creative expression. Notice what makes you feel more alive and make space for more of these experiences in your life. Your soul has been giving you clues about what nourishes it. You just need to start paying attention and honoring these messages. Sometimes your garden will need pruning. You might need to cut away relationships, activities, or commitments that are draining your energy and preventing healthy growth. This pruning can feel uncomfortable, especially if you're used to saying yes to everything, but it's necessary for the health of your whole garden. When you prune with love, you make space for what truly belongs in your life to flourish. Be patient with your garden seasons. There will be times of rapid growth and blooming, and there will be times that feel more dormant and quiet. Both are necessary and beautiful. Trust the natural rhythms of your growth instead of forcing yourself to bloom constantly. Even the most magnificent gardens have times of rest and renewal. As your inner garden begins to flourish, you'll notice that its beauty naturally attracts others. People are drawn to those who have cultivated inner peace and self-love. Your garden becomes a place of refuge and inspiration, not just for you, but for everyone whose life you touch. This is how healing yourself heals the world. Your inner beauty creates more beauty wherever you go. As your inner garden grows more beautiful and you become more comfortable in your own skin, something magical begins to happen. You start to emit a different kind of energy, an energy that's grounded, peaceful, and authentically confident. This isn't the false confidence that comes from trying to prove yourself to others. This is the quiet, steady confidence that comes from knowing and loving who you are. And this energy is incredibly magnetic. When you're no longer desperately seeking validation from others, you naturally become more attractive to healthy, loving people. There's something irresistible about someone who is comfortable with themselves, who doesn't need constant reassurance, who can be alone without being lonely. People are drawn to this energy because it's rare in our world of constant seeking and striving. Think about the people in your life who you find most magnetic. I bet they're not the ones who are trying the hardest to impress you or get your approval. They're probably the ones who seem comfortable in their own skin, who speak their truth gently but clearly, who listen without needing to make everything about themselves. These people have learned the secret of self-love. and it radiates from them like sunshine. When you focus on loving yourself, you stop operating from a place of lack and start operating from a place of abundance. Instead of looking for what you can get from others, you start thinking about what you can give. Instead of trying to fill your empty spaces through relationships, you come to relationships already whole. This shift changes everything about how you connect with others. Your relationships become healthier because you're no longer attracted to people who treat you poorly. When you know your worth, you naturally gravitate toward people who recognize and honor that worth. You also stop trying to fix or change people because you're not looking for them to complete you. You can love them as they are while maintaining your own boundaries and well-being. Opportunities begin to appear in your life in the most unexpected ways. When you're confident in your abilities and clear about your worth, you're more likely to speak up for yourself, apply for that job, start that creative project, or take that class you've been thinking about. You stop waiting for permission from others to live your life fully. You give yourself permission, and that permission opens doors that seemed impossible before. The magnetic power of self-love also extends to your relationship with abundance in all its forms. When you believe you're worthy of good things, you're more open to receiving them. You're less likely to sabotage opportunities when they come your way. You stop believing that you have to struggle or suffer to deserve happiness and success. You begin to understand that joy and abundance are your natural state, not rare gifts you have to earn. Your body language changes when you love yourself and others notice. You stand taller, make better eye contact, speak more clearly. You take up space without apology. You move through the world with a grace that comes from being at peace with yourself. This physical confidence is attractive not because it's aggressive or dominating, but because it's authentically yours. Even your voice changes when you learn to love yourself. There's a warmth and genuineness in your tone that people respond to. You stop speaking in ways that seek approval, ending statements like questions, apologizing unnecessarily, or minimizing your accomplishments. Your voice carries the quiet authority of someone who knows their own mind and isn't afraid to express it kindly. The beautiful irony is that the less you need others' approval, the more approval you tend to receive. But by then, you don't need it anymore. You appreciate it, but your sense of self isn't dependent on it. This freedom is intoxicating to others because so few people possess it. In a world of people seeking validation, someone who has found it within themselves stands out like a beacon. Money often flows more easily into the lives of people who love themselves because they believe they're worthy of financial abundance. They're more likely to ask for raises, charge fair prices for their services, and make investments in their future. They stop operating from a scarcity mindset that says there's not enough to go around, and start operating from an abundance mindset that says there's plenty for everyone, including them. Creating daily rituals that support your self-love journey is essential for sustaining the growth you're experiencing. These rituals don't need to be complicated or time-consuming. In fact, the simplest practices, done consistently, often create the most profound transformations. The key is to weave these practices into your daily life in ways that feel natural and sustainable. Start your day by greeting yourself with love before you greet the world. This might be as simple as placing your hand on your heart when you wake up and saying, "Good morning, beautiful soul. How can I love you well today?" Or, "Thank you for another day to grow and learn." This practice immediately sets a tone of self-care and intentionality for your day. Before you check your phone or dive into emails, spend a few minutes in silence or gentle movement. This might be stretching in bed, taking deep breaths, or simply lying still and noticing how your body feels. This practice helps you start the day connected to yourself rather than immediately giving your energy to external demands and distractions. Create a morning ritual around preparing and enjoying your first meal or drink of the day. Whether it's coffee, tea, or breakfast, do it with full presence and gratitude. Notice the aroma, the warmth, the taste. Thank your body for processing this nourishment. This simple mindfulness practice grounds you in the present moment and in appreciation for your physical self. Throughout your day, practice what I call love check-ins. Set gentle reminders on your phone or computer to pause and ask yourself, how am I treating myself right now? What does my body need? What would love do in this moment? These micro moments of self-awareness help you stay connected to your well-being even during busy or stressful times. Develop the habit of speaking to yourself throughout the day as you would speak to someone you dearly love. Notice when your inner critic starts chattering and gently redirect those thoughts. Instead of, I'm so stupid for making that mistake, try, I'm human and I'm learning. What can this teach me? This practice rewires your brain over time to default to kindness rather than criticism. Create an evening ritual that helps you transition from the energy of the day to rest and restoration. This might include dimming the lights, playing soft music, taking a warm bath, or writing in a journal. Use this time to acknowledge yourself for the ways you grew or showed love during the day, even in small ways. Before sleep, practice gratitude specifically for yourself. Thank your body for carrying you through the day. Appreciate your mind for solving problems and creating ideas. Acknowledge your heart for feeling and caring. Recognize your spirit for continuing to grow and expand. This practice helps you fall asleep wrapped in self-appreciation rather than self-criticism. Weekly rituals can provide deeper nourishment for your soul. Maybe it's a longer walk in nature where you leave your phone at home and just enjoy being with yourself. Maybe it's a creative activity that has no purpose other than bringing you joy. Maybe it's preparing a special meal just for yourself with the same care you'd give to preparing for a beloved guest. Monthly rituals might include reviewing your growth, setting intentions for the coming month, or treating yourself to something special. This isn't about rewarding yourself for achievements, but about celebrating the courage it takes to love yourself in a world that often encourages the opposite. Seasonal rituals help you stay connected to the natural rhythms of growth, rest, release, and renewal. In spring, you might focus on planting new seeds of intention. In summer, you might celebrate your full bloom and vitality. In fall, you might practice gratitude and release what no longer serves you. In winter, you might honor your need for rest and inner reflection. The key to successful ritual is flexibility and self-compassion. Some days you'll have time for elaborate self-care practices, and other days you might only have time for a single deep breath and a moment of kindness toward yourself. Both are valuable. The goal isn't perfection, but consistency and loving intention. Remember that these rituals are not selfish indulgences, but necessary practices for maintaining your well-being and your ability to love others authentically. Just as you wouldn't skip brushing your teeth or feeding your body, these practices become non-negotiable acts of self-love that support everything else you do in your life. As you begin to prioritize yourself and create new patterns of self-love, you'll likely encounter resistance, both from within yourself and sometimes from others. This resistance is completely normal and doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. In fact, resistance often signals that you're making important changes that challenge old patterns and comfort zones. The guilt that often arises when you start focusing on yourself can feel overwhelming at first. You might hear voices in your head saying, "This is selfish, other people need you," or "Who do you think you are to put yourself first?" These voices often echo messages you received early in life about what it means to be a good person. You may have learned that your worth came from how much you gave to others or how little you needed for yourself. It's important to understand that this guilt is not your true voice. It's the voice of conditioning and fear. Your true voice, the voice of your soul, knows that taking care of yourself is not only necessary, but beneficial to everyone in your life. When you're operating from a full cup rather than an empty one, you have so much more to offer the world. Sometimes the resistance comes from family members or friends who have grown accustomed to you always being available, always saying yes, always putting their needs first. When you start setting boundaries or saying no to requests, they might express confusion, disappointment, or even anger. This can trigger guilt and make you want to return to your old patterns of people-pleasing. Remember that other people's discomfort with your growth is not your responsibility to fix. People often resist change, even positive change, because it disrupts the familiar dynamics they've grown comfortable with. Your job is not to make everyone else comfortable with your growth. Your job is to continue growing in love and authenticity. When resistance arises, practice speaking to it with compassion rather than fighting it. You might say to yourself, I notice I'm feeling guilty about taking time for myself today. That's understandable given how I was raised. I can feel this guilt and still choose to love myself. This approach acknowledges the resistance without letting it control your choices. Physical sensations often accompany emotional resistance. You might feel tightness in your chest, butterflies in your stomach, or tension in your shoulders when you're about to do something loving for yourself. Breathe into these sensations and remind yourself that discomfort doesn't mean danger. Growing always feels uncomfortable at first because you're stretching beyond familiar territory. One of the most effective ways to move through resistance is to start with very small acts of self-love. If taking a whole evening for yourself feels too guilt-inducing, start with 15 minutes. If saying no to a big request feels impossible, practice saying no to smaller things first. Build your self-love muscles gradually, celebrating each small victory along the way. Remind yourself regularly why this work matters. You're not just doing this for yourself, you're doing it for everyone whose life you touch. When you love yourself well, you model healthy self-care for your children, friends, and community. You give others permission to love themselves too. You break cycles of self-neglect that may have been passed down through generations. Create mantras or affirmations that help you move through moments of resistance. I am worthy of my own love and care. Taking care of myself allows me to better care for others. Or, I choose love over guilt can be powerful tools for redirecting your thoughts when resistance arises. Seek support from people who understand and encourage your growth. This might be a therapist, a support group, or friends who are also on a journey of self-discovery. Having people in your corner who celebrate your progress rather than question it can make all the difference when resistance feels strong. Be patient with the process and with yourself. Some days you'll feel confident in your self-love practices, and other days the old patterns will feel stronger. This is the natural rhythm of growth. Every time you choose love over fear, kindness over criticism, or boundaries over people-pleasing, you're rewiring old patterns and creating new ones. Here you are, beautiful soul, at the beginning of the most important relationship you'll ever have, the relationship with yourself. This isn't an ending, but a gorgeous, hopeful beginning. Everything we've explored together has been preparing you for this moment when you step fully into your own life as the main character of your story, not a supporting actor in everyone else's drama. You have everything you need within you right now to begin this transformation. You don't need to wait until you're stronger, wiser, or more prepared. You don't need anyone's permission to start loving yourself. You don't need to fix anything about yourself before you can begin. You are worthy of love exactly as you are in this moment, with all your perceived flaws and imperfections, with all your fears and doubts, with all your beautiful, messy humanity. The journey of focusing on yourself until you become the focus is not about becoming self-centered or narcissistic. It's about becoming so grounded in your own worth, so comfortable in your own skin, so at peace with who you are, that you naturally become a source of light and inspiration for others. When you love yourself well, you give everyone around you permission to do the same. Remember that this transformation happens one moment at a time, one choice at a time, one breath at a time. Every time you speak to yourself with kindness instead of criticism, you're changing neural pathways in your brain. Every time you honor your needs instead of ignoring them, you're building self-respect. Every time you choose what feels authentic over what looks impressive, you're coming home to yourself. There will be days when this feels easy and natural, and days when it feels like the hardest thing you've ever done. Both experiences are part of the journey. On the difficult days, remember that resistance is not a sign that you're doing something wrong. It's often a sign that you're doing something important. Growth requires us to stretch beyond our comfort zones, and stretching always involves some discomfort. Your willingness to focus on yourself is actually a gift to the world. In a culture that often promotes self-neglect and endless giving to others, choosing to love yourself is a radical act of healing. You're healing not just your own wounds, but generational patterns of unworthiness. You're showing others what's possible when someone decides they matter. As you continue on this path, trust your inner wisdom. You have an inner compass that knows what's right for you, what nourishes you, what depletes you. The more you practice listening to this inner voice, the clearer it becomes. You'll start to know instinctively which opportunities to say yes to and which to gracefully decline. You'll sense which people support your growth and which drain your energy. Let yourself dream again. When you focus on loving yourself, you naturally begin to imagine possibilities that felt impossible when you were focused on everyone else's approval. Maybe there's a creative project you've been putting off, a relationship you want to heal, a career change you've been considering, or a place you want to visit. Your dreams matter, and you matter enough to pursue them. Practice gratitude for this moment of awakening. Not everyone gets to experience this shift in consciousness. Not everyone realizes that they have the power to change their relationship with themselves. The fact that you're here, reading these words, feeling this stirring in your soul, means you're ready for transformation. Honor this readiness as the precious gift it is. As you go forward, carry with you this truth. You are not too much and you are not too little. You are exactly who you need to be in this moment. Your sensitivity is a strength, not a weakness. Your dreams are valid, not frivolous. Your needs matter, not just the needs of others. You deserve love, respect, kindness, and all the good things life has to offer. The beautiful truth is that when you become the focus of your own love and attention, you don't become smaller or more selfish. You become more radiant, more generous, more authentic, more alive. You become the person you were always meant to be, before the world taught you to be anything else. So take a deep breath, place your hand on your heart, and feel the love that's been waiting there all along. This love doesn't need to be earned or deserved. It simply is. It's your birthright, your natural state, your way home to yourself. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, and you've already taken that step by opening your heart to these possibilities. Trust the process, be gentle with yourself, and remember that every moment offers you a new chance to choose love over fear, acceptance over rejection, yourself over everyone else's expectations. You are ready, you are worthy, you are loved, and the most beautiful chapter of your life is just beginning.